Welcome members to the full council here for January. As per normal, members, I'm going to pass on to John to take us through the notice summons and members' attendance and apologies. John, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of the Council to be held remotely today, Thursday, the 27th of January 2022 at 4 o'clock, and starting as always with the roll call. Alderman Bresland.
Here, John.
Alderman Devaney.
Here.
Alderman Guy.
Here, John.
Alderman Hussey.
Online, John. Thank you.
Alderman Carrigan.
Here, John.
Alderman McClintock.
Here, John.
Alderman McCready.
Here.
Alderman Ramsey.
He'll be along later, John.
Alderman Wark.
Yeah.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor John Boyle.
Good afternoon.
Councillor Michaela Boyle.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Carr.
Here, John.
Councillor Cusick.
Here, John.
Councillor Dobbins.
Here, John.
Councillor Donnelly.
Tommy and Shaw.
Councillor Doyle.
Here, John.
Councillor Duffy.
And Shaw.
Councillor Edwards.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Ferguson.
Here, John.
Councillor Fleming.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Gallagher.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Harkin.
Here.
Councillor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Jackson.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Kelly.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor Logue.
Oh, John.
Councillor McGinley.
And Shaw, John.
Councillor McGowan. Councillor McGowan. Councillor McGuire. Councillor McGuire. Councillor McHugh. Councillor McHugh. Councillor McKeever. Councillor McKeever. Councillor McKinney. Members, do you still hear me okay?
All good.
Yeah, we do.
Yep.
Yes.
Councillor McKinney. Councillor Mooney.
Here, John.
Councillor O'Neill.
Here, John.
Councillor Riley.
Here, John.
Councillor Sino Barr.
Here, John.
Councillor Tierney.
Apologies from Councillor Tierney.
Thank you. Members, just checking back. Councillor McGowan. Councillor McGuire. Councillor McHugh. Councillor McKeever. Councillor McKinney. Okay, thank you, members. Thank you. Back to you, Mayor.
I'm here, John.
Oh, thank you, Councillor McKinney.
Thank you for that, John. Okay, members, moving on to agenda 4, declaration of members' interest and to be raised and put on the chat box when taken. Apologies, members. Also, agenda 3, statement of remote meetings. I'd like to remind everyone the remote attendance. This meeting will be broadcast live via the Council YouTube channel and will be available for viewing in the public and media. The broadcast will also be available for repeated viewing at a later date. The broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with the Council protocol, and members and previous speakers are reminded they only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting, and to use the chat facilities to highlight a request to speak. By participating in this meeting, you're consenting being filmed, and the use of storage of those images and broadcast or training purposes, and the purpose of keeping historic records and making those records available to the public. A copy of the Council privacy notice may be found in the Council webpage. Okay, members, moving on to agenda 5. I have none myself, but I'd like to bring in Councillor Hargan.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to come in chairperson's business. And as people probably know, today is International Holocaust Memorial Day. And and I appreciate that the mayor gave me the opportunity to bring this into the chamber today. We passed a very, very strong motion last year as a council, supporting the call Never Again and committing the council to taking action to stop the rise of anti-Semitism, to stop racism, discrimination, and sectarianism. I think today is a very important opportunity for us to commemorate the millions of Jewish people who were murdered by Nazi and fascist regimes, and also the millions of others who were murdered because they were different, because they were minorities, because they were migrants, because they were vulnerable, because they had a disability. And the slogan "Never Again," as people will know, refers to the argument that this should never be allowed to happen again. This was one of the darkest periods of human history, and it's right that this is being commemorated right across the world. It's right that our council is commemorating it, and I think we have to, do all that we can as a council, as political parties, as individual political representatives, to make sure that the poison of fascism isn't allowed to grow here on this island or anywhere else. It is unfortunate that there are, political forces of reaction, I would call them, who are intent on scapegoating Jewish people, scapegoating migrants, scapegoating others for many of the problems that we have, and who do look to, unfortunately, the 30s and the 40s as a model for their where they would like to go. So I think that we can send a strong message by condemning those attempts and those who are attempting to do that, and by standing in solidarity with Jewish people and others who've been the victims of the far right and in the past, and who are the targets of the far right today. So the mayor informed me that he was going to be lighting the building tonight, which is fantastic. And I believe he was at another event earlier today. And I wanted to propose that we have a moment of silence at 6 o'clock to mark International Holocaust Memorial Day. And at 6 is also when there's a call for people to put a candle up to mark the day. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hargan. Okay, members, we have a proposal on and seconded by Councillor Boyle. So, members, you all happy with at 6 o'clock? We have a minute silence. I've a couple of people on here. Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And I totally agree with the sentiments expressed by Councillor Hargan. But I would just also like to say that, when the Second World War ended, we all thought that we would never see the like again. And yet it has happened again, over and over again. Cambodia, Bosnia, China, Myanmar, so we all must stand in solidarity and object to what's going on in other parts of the world, and send very strong message to these governments that are persecuting people, and even people within our own society that are persecuting other peoples for their beliefs and their sexuality. It just goes on and on and on. We all must stand very strongly together against this, and I fully support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor McKenna. Councillor Donnelly.
Chair, thank you, and I want to agree with the tonight's proposal. What happened there, Chair, was absolutely horrific, unimaginable horror. And the point that I want to make, Chair, is that there's some people now who have used the pandemic. They've changed their profile pictures with a yellow star, and I think that it's not. They're comparing COVID restrictions to what happened during the Holocaust, and it is absolutely disgusting. And it demeans and devalues the horror of what happened. Persecution should not be happening on any scale. And in that regards, Chair, I want to talk about what happened. A young man, Eden Heaslip, in Cavan, who took his own life because he was persecuted because the religion of his father. And I want to say that, you know, that anybody who seen what happened there or who read what happened there can't be unaffected. And I would just want to propose that this council could send a letter to the Heaslip family expressing our condolences. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Donnelly. That's second by Councillor Doyle there, and no issue with that. Alderman McClintock. Pardon, sorry.
Sorry, I forgot to.
It's sorry, I just seen that. Alderman Hussey, I wasn't doing that in badness, Derek. Okay.
No problem, Mayor. Thank you. And indeed, thank you to Councillor Harkin for the motion. Like yourself, I attended the memorial that was held in the Waterside Theatre this morning, and would heartily congratulate those who organised that event, and the community people who were involved and attended. As has rightly been said, as it was the Holocaust, as was described, there was the thought, you know, that never again, this couldn't happen again, but it has happened. It happened before the Second World War, genocide. I'm thinking of the likes of Armenia and places like that. And I've been to some of those sites. I've been to Armenia, Kosovo, and indeed I've been to Auschwitz, and indeed next week some of us will be with our Good Relations team and people from the community, and we will be paying a pilgrimage to Auschwitz itself. So I commend the motion, and you know, not just the motion, but the whole ethos of what we're talking about. For goodness sake, you know, let's be aware of situations that can develop into the sort of scenario that evolved in Germany and other parts of Europe at that time, and has developed in other countries since. So let's be aware of it and do all that we can to prevent it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred. Alderman Hussey. Alderman McClintock.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to be associated with the comments previously, I think the whole rise in anti-Semitism that has been witnessed over recent years is a stark reminder of why we must not allow the events of the Holocaust to be forgotten. I read, and it was from a party colleague, Gary Middleton, today, actually had on a message that said that if we had a minute's silence for every person that died in the Holocaust, it would be 11.5 years of silence. I think that's a staggering way actually of thinking about it, and just how many lives were lost there. And also the comments from Councillor Donnelly about the young man in County Cavan, I think that's horrific what has happened there too. And I think it's right that we do send out a message from this chamber. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Alderman McClintock. Councillor Boyle.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, just on behalf of the SDLP, if we could be associated with the previous remarks from all of the speakers, I think we all understand and appreciate the significance of Holocaust Memorial Day. I too, like probably many on this meeting tonight, have been witness and visited some of those infamous concentration camps, Auschwitz in particular, and others. Sachsenhausen comes to mind as well, just outside Berlin. But as everyone has already said, and it's worth repeating, I suppose, is that, you know, we always should bear in mind that whilst we never want to see these things happen again, there are those globally who are still fit to persecute people of all backgrounds and minorities of every manner, and we as a council obviously must speak up with one voice, and that's what we're hearing here today, and I welcome that, Mayor. So thank you, and again, Mayor, can I just commend you as well in your proposal to light up the Guildhall in memory of those who were slaughtered during the Holocaust. I don't think we could put it any more simply than that. So again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you for that, Councillor Boyle. Councillor Jackson.
Thanks, Mayor. And on behalf of Sinn Féin, just going to thank Councillor Harkin for bringing the proposal to the council, and agree with them that the Holocaust was one of the darkest days in humanity, and it is appropriate that on today, the Holocaust Memorial Day, that we light up council buildings, but we should never forget the horror of the Holocaust every day. And I would agree with Councillor Harkin and his sentiments that there is no place for fascism anywhere on this island. Equally so, there's no place for any anti-Semitism, racism, sectarianism, and homophobia. And I think it's important that that we join with others and send out a strong message that any that any type of discrimination will be challenged throughout our council area. So I want to thank again Councillor Harkin for bringing the proposal to council today. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councillor Jackson. So at 6 o'clock, members, we'll take a minute's silence for the Holocaust. So thank you for that, Councillor Harkin, bringing that through. Members, on chairperson's business, if Councillor O'Neill and Alderman Hussey here, and they're coming on Aisling Murphy. So they are obviously the two are very similar. So I'll just take these back to back. So the first one was Councillor O'Neill. So Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to touch on the murder of Aisling Murphy. I know that many of us attended the vigil organised by Alliance for Choice in the Guildhall Square on that Friday afternoon. And I think, you know, there's been, I think, nearly 12 murders now of women since the pandemic began in the north here. And there's a real crisis when it comes to gender-based violence here in the north. And, you know, given the recent murder of Aisling Murphy, I think we really need to take a really good look at our society when it comes to misogyny and gender-based violence. And I think, you know, it's important to highlight casual sexism and misogyny, you know, through humour when we're talking about gender-based violence as well, because casual sexism that demeans woman also harms women. And, you know, I can't say that without referring to Doug Beattie's tweets that have been in the media this week. And, you know, these offensive tweets, these misogynistic tweets towards women, it's not about women being offended, but harmed. And it felt after the Aisling Murphy murder, you know, there was an outpouring of grief and anger, and it didn't feel that men were hearing this. But, you know, when men stand in solidarity with women after a horrific act of gender-based violence, and rightly so distancing themselves from yes, the minority of men who would physically abuse a woman, it's not okay then to subtly communicate that the devaluing of women through wee jokes and think that that's okay. And, you know, we need to also look at the misogyny of our state and the gender-based violence of our state, which you know, limits reproductive rights for women and people who can get pregnant, and also which puts a real burden of care on women when it comes to the two-child benefit cap, when it comes to welfare reform and poverty, which you know, impacts women the most. So, you know, these are the root causes of misogyny in our society. And, you know, there was talk today around relationship and sexual education also. And, you know, we need to really look at the relationship and sexual education that's taught in our schools, that teaches consent, that is inclusive and age appropriate, but that teaches, you know, healthy relationship rather than shames sexual relationship, which is religiously controlled. So I just wanted to, you know, to begin that conversation, I suppose, in our council. And I did want to propose about inviting in the Children's Commissioner, who was speaking today about relationship and sexual education to a special council meeting, but also wanted to invite in the Women's Development Agency around, they have a feminist recovery plan post-COVID, which looks at any recovery that we do post-COVID, that it centres on one.
Can I stop you here, Councillor Lee? You're pushing us out. If you're going to bring us forward, it probably need to be forward as a motion here, because it's not what the request was, chairperson's business. But if you want to come back well on a motion, I'm happy enough to take that forward. Thank you.
Do you want me to put it in then, Mayor?
You can bring that forward at the next monthly meeting in February. I'm happy enough to take that, Councillor O'Neill.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much for that. I see there's a speaker on this, but I'm going to bring Alderman Hussey now on.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm not following the wider lines of Councillor O'Neill, rather specific lines. And I suppose a response to Aislinn's murder has to be, what can we do about it? And literally in the aftermath of that horrific event, I've been contacted by a couple of people with regard to their safety when they are carrying out very similar activities, whether it's walking or jogging. And for their own safety, sometimes they go off-road. And I would mention in particular off-road the path along the riverside in Castlederg from the bridge to the Castle Park, and indeed the paths that have been created via the shared space programme within Castlederg. And I'm sure that this will apply to many, many areas throughout our council. Not all of them will be under the jurisdiction of council, but if I stick to what I know with regard to the riverside at Castlederg, the river walk, there's no lighting along that particular pathway along the river, so possibly rivers agents are involved there. Within our own estate in the Castle Park, there are paths where there is no lighting. So what I'm suggesting is that we would liaise with various agencies wherein various walking trails, cycling trails would operate.
Alderman Hussey, I'm going to have to stop you there once again. I'm going to say it's the same as Councillor O'Neill. Look, on the chairperson's business, what was requested, I appreciate if you'd bring that forward as a motion in February. I am 100% happy to take that forward on that, but it is too big a one now to bring forward. I know you're not going to agree with me on it, but Alderman Hussey, we've been through this before, and that is a full motion on itself. That's quite a massive one there to take on now. I'm happy enough. See if all you have to do, and it's next week, put it forward as a motion.
I will put it forward, but when it comes to people's safety, I think there should be urgency, which has not been shown. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Alderman Hussey, if it was urgent enough, you'd have put it forward as a motion then. You had plenty of time to do that, okay? Thank you. Okay, there's a few speakers on that. Councillor Boy, Michaela.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. Just following on from Maeve. I want to put on record too, in terms of our party, you know, our family and beyond. Obviously, gender-based violence towards women is something that this council is on record for supporting in terms of domestic abuse, sexual violence and rape, stalking and harassment, and the trafficking of women and female genital mutilation. All of those issues we have dealt with through the council and as regards motions. Violence against women is both a consequence of and a cause of inequality between men and women, as well as being a health problem of epidemic proportions. It's also a human rights problem of equal severity. You know, women do have the right to feel safe wherever they go, be it in their own community or outside of their community. So it is a big issue. And, you know, obviously I know you're not taking any proposals here this evening. I totally understand that, but I do think, you know, it is an issue that we need to address once and for all again. It is unfortunate due to the, you know, the issues that we have had quite recently in the very high profile murder of Aisling. And there's been a lot of, it has raised a lot of more questions than answers, but there's human rights issues, violence, rape and sexual abuse has been used as a weapons of war throughout history. The lack of stability and security leaving women and girls more vulnerable and more, you know, susceptible to violence. But for a long time, it's just been accepted that this, you know, the violence against women. So I do believe that, you know, it's right here today that we bring this to the chamber, but also, I mean, obviously Maeve did get pulled in terms of her proposal that she was bringing. I would have probably supported her on that and probably seconded her proposal, but you know, given the experience and in terms of violent crimes against women, I'm happy to kind of as well bring, you know, support a motion coming to council maybe next month also. So thank you, Mayor.
And as I said, I fully support, look for them two motions, fully support both motions coming forward in the February meeting. Thank you for that. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor O'Neill for raising Aisling Murphy. I'd like to add our Voice of the Alliance to the condolences to her family and fiance. I think this is something that is a topic that we do need to be tackling, and we need to be tackling right now. And Maeve was very right. It is a wide ranging issue, from childcare to relationship sex education, everyday sexism, and the pyramid of sexual violence leads up to the more horrifying side of domestic violence, rape, stalking. So I think it is something I look forward to coming towards the committee or special meeting, because I think it's something we as a council could do more, especially in highlight of the recent spikings within our city and districts, and how they were going underreported until very recently. These are all things in which we can try and highlight more for our constituents and residents in the city and district. But Mayor, again, I just want to thank Councillor O'Neill for raising this issue and to give our sincere condolences, and I look forward to the motion coming forward in the February meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ferguson. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And, you know, on behalf of the DUP, like all the rest of the parties, I would like to join in the condemnation of the vile and gruesome murder of Aisling Murphy. And look, our sympathy goes out to the entire family circle in this very, very difficult time. Our party has always condemned any violence, no matter what it is, but the issue is today about violence against women. Mayor, look, I have listened to the conversation here, and I look forward to a motion coming forward, because our party will be very, very supportive of anything that we do to stop this violence and stop the pain and tragedy that has happened to the Murphy family. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that. Next on the list is Councillor McKinney.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. And I agree with all the comments made earlier, and thank you, Mayor, for bringing it. But what I want to say, like Aisling and the other women in our society, or any society, is not acceptable. We need to educate, and not just in schools, but the education needs to start in the home. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor McKinney. Alderman McCready.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me to speak on this. I, like members, agree with what they've said, and in particular with the case of Miss Murphy. It is heartbreaking, and my thoughts certainly go to the family. But I think, Mr. Mayor, I need to just be clear and front up when we get things wrong. I think it falls on me as an elected representative of the Ulster Unionist Party, because earlier, this week, like many, I was shocked and very disappointed to see what Doug Beattie had posted on his Twitter account, around 10 years ago. And for me, it wasn't reflective of the Doug I knew then, nor representative of the Doug I know now. But those tweets were unacceptable then, and they're unacceptable today. And I'm just glad he has fronted his shortcomings honestly and with full public disclosure. And now it falls on me here in Foyle with my team to try and reassure and rebuild the trust with the likes of Women's Group and Minorities Group, which we will be at their disposal to ensure that these wrongs will not be done again, and that we can actually create a more safer future for women in particular. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Fred Alderman Petty and Councillor Riley.
Yeah, Mayor, thanks for bringing me in. And just on behalf of the SDLP, just to be associated with the comments in relation to Aisling Murphy and the condolences to be sent to her fiance and her family. I think the whole nation and wider afield was struck by the tragedy of that death, and it really brought home to people, and not just females who go out for a run or go out for a walk, but also the male population, about how lucky we are and how much we as males take for granted in terms of doing a simple thing like going for a run. I don't, when I'm out walking, I don't have my keys in my hand, I don't have my phone in my hand, thinking about crossing over from one side of the street to the other, like so many of our female counterparts have to do when they're out doing simple things like that. So I think we're the comments made by Councillor O'Neill in relation to bringing forward, special council meetings to hear from experts on this, I think is welcome. And I agree with Councillor Ferguson's points about the pyramid of sexual violence and how it's important that no matter how small an item may be, how trivial a comment may seem to be, all of that needs to be challenged and called out. And I think that that education needs to take place. And while I agree with Councillor Hussey or Alderman Hussey in relation to the need to make safer some of our public spaces, etc., we also need to make a change in mindsets on how people think about violence and how they think about what they say and the impact that that has. So I think that a special council opportunity for people to bring in the opinions of experts in this field, and to hear from people about how all of us as a society, men and women, can make all of this place we live to be a safer place, I think would be welcome. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councillor Riley. So, members, just moving back here on Councillor O'Neill's, I see in the chat box, I stopped you short. Councillor Neil, as you see, and Alderman Hussey, this is a major topic at the minute. And I think everybody's thoughts are with the family and the friends, the community of Aisling Murphy. It's sent shockwaves. So it did throughout this district and throughout Northern Ireland and the whole UK and Southern Ireland. And I think I would propose if we as a council send a letter to the family and from this council, and our thoughts and prayers are with them. And have a second, but I feel this is a very important issue. And with Alderman Hussey's, there's a lot to this, and I can see the members coming on here with this, even coming on chairperson's business, as something we really need to discuss further afield and prepare members for. So I'll be happy when these two motions come forward now in February's meeting. So members could have a seconder for a letter to be sent to the family.
I'll second that, Mayor. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Fred Alderman Devaney. So members, finally on chairperson's business, we have Councillor Duffy.
Mayor, and I really do appreciate you allowing me in on this issue. I do think it would be remiss of us to have a council meeting here in Derry City and Strabane without mentioning Bloody Sunday this month. Bloody Sunday was a defining day for our city, and it was also a defining course in our history, and it has indeed for the island and internationally. We witnessed the murder of 14 innocent civilians on our streets, and things would never be the same again. So it's with that memory that has been ingrained in our DNA and in everything that we do. But today, 50 years on, I just want to take this opportunity at this council meeting to pay tribute to the Bloody Sunday families for their strength and their dignity, and for their relentless campaigning for truth and justice. I really want to send a message here wishing them well for the future and send them our solidarity this weekend, as I'm sure that marking this significant anniversary will be really difficult for them and remembering the lives that have been lost. I do hope to see people over the course of the weekend as Derry remembers, but for those who are unable to be out and about for whatever reason, the families have asked as well that people light a candle at 4 o'clock on Sunday and place it in their window. So that's really all. I have no proposal, Mayor. I just think that as a council, we should mention it at this meeting, this January meeting of our council. So thank you for indulging me.
Thank you for that, Councillor Duffy. Alderman McClintock.
Thank you for allowing me in. And like others, I mean, I appreciate that this is a tremendously sensitive and difficult time in our district, and I know that many people are grieving, but I suppose would like to put on record that today some of us were at a short and simple service at the Diamond called Not Forgotten, where we remembered 50 years ago today that 2 police officers also were murdered, and I'm referring to Sergeant Peter Gilgun and Constable David Montgomery, and their families grieve. These were the first 2 police officers of that year, of the 20 that were murdered that year in our city. And while I'm not in any way taken away of the horrific events of Bloody Sunday, I just think that we need to remember that this is a tragic and a sensitive time for so many in our society. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McClintock. Councillor Riley.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, and thanks to Councillor Duffy for raising this today. And just to put on record the SDLP support for the families as well. I think that the 2 previous speakers, Alderman McClintock and Councillor Duffy, have touched on how this is a hugely sensitive time for many families across this council area and beyond who lived through such dramatic events 50 years ago on the streets of our city. And I think that it's only right that we put the families and their wishes at the foremost of our minds at this meeting. And I think that if we look at the dignity and the way that the families of Bloody Sunday have carried themselves throughout the last 5 decades, I think that that's important to note because their journey towards getting justice, their the vilification of their loved ones, and the journey that they had to go on to get the memory and the reputations of their loved ones cleared, I think is in demonstration of the fact that not only were their loved ones robbed of their lives, but then they had their memories and their reputations tarnished as well. And I think that is crucial to understanding why 50 years anniversary is so important. It's a generational milestone, and the various different ways and occasions that are happening in the days ahead. I think people should get involved in those and try to understand why the families are asking people to remember in various different ways right across either at their own home or at the various different events taking place in the city. So, Mayor, just to endorse the comments about how it is important that this council notes the events that happened on that day and certainly support the families in their quest for justice. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Councillor Riley. Councillor Hargan.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Duffy for raising this extremely important issue for discussion. And yeah, I think that our solidarity goes out to the Bloody Sunday families, and this weekend and this week really is an opportunity to commemorate those people who were gunned down, those innocent people who were gunned down in the Civil Rights March by the British Army. We can commemorate their loss. It's also an opportunity to commemorate on the struggle of the families for justice, for the truth, for accountability, and that's what they've done over the last 50 years, up against many obstacles, up against the lies of the British government, the lies of the British Army that painted their loved ones as deserving of their fate. And this is an opportunity as well this weekend to continue that campaign for more truth, for more justice, for more accountability. And we're all familiar with the rotten proposals that Boris Johnson has attempted to foist on people here. And this is an occasion, an opportunity for us to show that we reject that. It goes against everything that the Bloody Sunday campaigners and others have demanded for many, many years. And I believe this weekend is a very important opportunity as well for us. This event, Bloody Sunday was a very Derry event. It was a very Irish event. But it's also the case that we need to keep a spotlight on the role of the British state around the world, because what happened here has been repeated by the British Army in many other places, be that Iraq, Afghanistan, where innocent people have been killed because of what the elites that run the British government decide to do. So for all them reasons, I think this is this weekend is a crucial weekend. It's good that there's lots of events. It's good that there's many ways that people can commemorate and stand in solidarity with Bloody Sunday families. I know that lots of people will be coming to Derry from across Ireland, from elsewhere, and they're more than welcome. And I think that the world will be standing with people in Derry this weekend, and as we remember people who were lost.
Sorry, can you bring your remarks to a close, please?
And to stand in solidarity with the ongoing struggle for truth and justice and accountability. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Horgan. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would just like our voice to be added to the comments and our thoughts given to both the Bloody Sunday families and to the families of the two police officers whose 50th anniversary it is today, and 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday this week. I think Councillor Duffy was right in saying that this is something that we've all inherited and lived up and grew up around. It's something that we have to acknowledge and we have to remember so that we don't go back there. It's important that all victims of the Troubles are remembered, and I appreciate that the Bloody Sunday Trust are adding in a part of it where all victims of the Troubles are going to be remembered throughout all of the different events over the week. So, Mayor, I really appreciate it. But just to add our voice to and give our thoughts to all the families of victims, especially the ones who will be grieving even more this week with it being the 50th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ferguson. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And look, I agree with the previous speakers and sensitivities and around that. But look, I just want to go back on the issue and around Councillor Harkin. He talked about the British Army and the British who murdered the service that we attended, and you were at it this morning, Mayor. I listened to the families, two members of the families of the two police officers that were murdered, and what they clearly stated was that they have seen no justice, they've seen no apology, they have seen no public inquiry. And when you look at all the innocent victims out there who sit in that sphere there where they haven't had public inquiry or an apology or even the light of compensation, and when we look at others who have received all of this, there are many out there who would say that their loved ones have been forgotten about. And just a reminder, Mayor, these two police officers were murdered by the Provisional IRA, and I don't hear Councillor Harkin condemning them for murdering the police officers. And I will sit here and condemn the Provisional IRA for murdering the two police officers. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Alderman Devaney. Councillor Barr.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I would just like to be associated with the comments of previous speakers and offer my solidarity and support to the families of those who were murdered on Bloody Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Barr. And yeah, I was at the service today, and my thoughts are out with the two police officers' families, and obviously it's a very sad weekend too, and my thoughts are out with the 14 families. And I thank you, members, for your sensitivity around this issue. Thank you, members. Members, moving on, this year has chairperson's business complete. So moving on to agenda 6 now is confirmation of the open minutes of the meeting of, sorry, you're right. John's just picking me up on one, members. I have one more. It's actually, it's on committees, members, and it's moving them back in March, for the committees back in the Guildhall here, and take them off back to hybrid meetings. So members, I'm going to propose here from March onwards that committees are coming back into the Guildhall.
Happy second, Chair.
Chair, could I have just clarification on that?
Right, I'm going to pass you on to the Chief Executive on this one. So members,
Just some questions, just for some people who feel uncomfortable coming back in to close. I hope it is a hybrid form that those who can avail of the online service, and I think it's important to keep that.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. The suggestion, members, if you're comfortable with it, is from the end of February, beginning of March, now as we move out of restrictions, hopefully for the last time, that we return to where we were just before Christmas, where there were hybrid committee meetings, with a preference where members are comfortable and are able to attend, particularly members of committees, that they attend physically, but obviously mindful of the fact that some members may not, for whatever reason, be able to attend, and therefore the hybrid option still remains. And that obviously that wouldn't apply just yet to full council meetings, which obviously need to continue in hybrid fashion, and we will obviously consider those in the months ahead. Thank you, Mayor, for that, man.
thank you for that, John. Does that clarify it, Alderman Devaney? Thank you. So I propose that members could have a seconder, please.
I'd second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Minnick. Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a point of clarification. When you say committee meetings moving back into the Guildhall, will that also mean committee meetings come back into the chamber in Strabane?
Mayor, through you, sorry. I don't think I said back into the Guildhall. If I did, I didn't mean to. I meant back into wherever we used to have them before, which was rotating between the Guildhall and Strabane. We'll just have to check out all of the technicalities associated with that in relation to hybrid and technology, but the proposal is to begin to move back towards normality if we can, and that would include this time round reinstating the rotation of committees between the Guildhall and Strabane, should that be possible. I just don't want to commit to it 100% today, just in case there's some technical issues, but that's certainly the intent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Alderman Guy.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting me in. We in the Ulster Unionist Party would be supportive of going back into the chamber for the committee meetings, but I would just like to ask, in regards to the working groups, I would just like to gauge the feeling from all our members. I think Ulster Unionist Party would be happy that they continue in hybrid. I think for time limits on members and so on, I think the online facility for that makes sense at the minute, unless of course there needs to be documents produced or anything like that. But I think for most, I think we'd be happy to continue online as well for that.
Chair, the Mayor's just asked me to come in on that. Well, obviously that's a decision for members, Alderman Guy, but certainly from an officer perspective, we would be more than happy to facilitate that should members wish to go down that route.
Thank you, Fred, Alderman Guy and John. Councillor Minnick.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair, I was wondering, could the Chief Executive just maybe outline, has he explored any options for a hybrid full council meeting at some stage, or when would he envisage something like that happening down the line?
Hopefully, Councillor Minnick, I would love one at the end of my term, to be honest, so my fingers are crossed to get you all back together there.
Well, maybe if the Chief Executive could maybe outline if he's any proposals or anything at the moment. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Chair for bringing me back in. Thank you, Councillor Mooney, for that comment. Yeah, look, we as officers have a number of suggestions that we would like to involve members in a conversation around. We did feel it's a little premature. We just want to try and get things back up and running with regard to committees first. It probably feels like a couple of months away at least before we can revert to some form of normality from a council perspective. But as members know, there are a range of issues there, from not just social distancing, whether we are going to maintain social distancing even on a voluntary basis, and then the length of meetings and the length of time that members would be required to spend in one room. And there are options there in and around splitting meetings, meetings having a maximum time period, that type of thing. But Councillor Mooney and other councillors, I think the intention was to, as I said at the start of this, to open up a discussion with you in a month or so's time about the options in and around the return to full council, with a view to, assuming things still move positively, and hopefully they will, with a view to reinstating some element of physical presence in relation to full council as well as committees. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the Chief Executive.
Thank you, Councillor Mooney. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair. And it's on a similar basis, not directly related to our own council meetings, but I know that the National Association of Councillors rotate their meetings, and they're holding hybrid meetings at the moment. They rotate them around the various councils in Northern Ireland. I understand that to date they haven't had a reply to their request for ourselves to host one of their meetings. Is the Chief Executive aware of the request, and will there be a response to the National Association of Councillors as to the request to, at some stage, one of their meetings would be hosted within Derry City and Strabane District Council area? Thank you, sir. Mayor.
Mayor, I'm not aware of having received a request by the NEC. Maybe one of my colleagues, Ellen, on the call, perhaps may have received it. Ellen, can you confirm if you have a request?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I'm not aware of anything at the minute, but I'll chase it up after this meeting if everyone's happy with that. Thank you.
But certainly, Alderman Hussey, should we receive a request, or if one has been sent, if it could be resent, we'll certainly consider it appropriately and bring it back to yourselves for consideration.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Freddie, and also Alderman Hussey. So, members, the proposer seconder, I don't see any dissenting voices on that, so I will move on. Members, moving on to Agenda 6, confirmation open minutes of the meeting of Derry City and Strabane District Council held on Thursday, the 16th of December 2021, pages 1 to 20. For accuracy, could I have a proposer and seconder?
Proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Proposed, Alderman Devaney, and a seconder, members.
I'll second it.
And Alderman Bresson seconded, and Alderman Ramsey's there. John, yep. Okay, members, moving on to Agenda 7, matters arising. And no matters arising. Members, moving on, Agenda 8, adoption open minutes to the following committees. Monthly Governance Strategy Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 4th of January 2022, pages 21 to 34. For accuracy, could I have a proposer?
I'll propose it, Westland.
Alderman Preston proposing, and the seconder, members.
Councillor Riley seconded.
Councillor Riley seconded. And matters arising. And no matters arising. Okay, members, monthly planning committee held on Wednesday, the 5th of January 2022, pages 35 to 46. For accuracy, could I have a proposer, please?
Proposed, John Boyle.
I'll second it.
Councillor Boyle proposed and seconded by Alderman Bresnan. Okay, members, matters arising. No matters arising, members. Moving on to monthly business culture committee held on Tuesday, the 11th of January 2022, pages 47 to 57 to 68 members. For accuracy, could have a proposer.
So proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Alderman Devaney proposed, second, members.
Farrell.
And Councillor Farrell seconded. And matters arising, members, Alderman McClintock.
Thank you, Mayor. It's on BC 9/22, the Peace Plus Partnership Board. If we could just nominate myself, Alderman Morris Devaney and Alderman Keith Kerrigan to the Peace Plus Partnership Board. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Alderman McClintock. That is noted.
Mayor, can I just come in on that as well?
It's the same issue, yeah.
Yes, just to add my own name.
Is Councillor Ferguson your same issue as well, are you?
Yes, it is, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Mayor, can we nominate Councillor McKinney on the Peace Plus, please? Or...
Yeah, noted. So Councillor McKinney's on it. Go ahead there, Alderman Guy.
Just add my name as well, the Peace Plus. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Guy's on that as well. They've been noted, members. There's no other members or parties looking on that, no members? Okay. So no more matters arising on business culture. So moving on, members, to the monthly Environment Regeneration Committee held on Wednesday, the 12th of January 2022, pages 57 to 68. For accuracy, could I have a proposer, please?
So proposed, Alderman Devaney.
Alderman Devaney and
John
second
Boyle.
it. Yeah, thank you. And Councillor Duffy. Right, you're going to nominate B and C. Thank you. Okay, members, matters arising on environmental regeneration.
Chair, just one issue, Morris, if you'd allow me, and very briefly.
Yeah, go ahead, Alderman Devaney.
ER 06/22. It was in relation to my comments and around bringing forward a report to the relevant committee regarding free parking for disabled drivers within the council area. And I just want to put it on record, Chair, that I look forward to the report coming back to committee. And look, and when it reaches that stage, I will be asking that we probably write to DFI to consider the same options as well across Northern Ireland and their car parks as well. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred. Alderman Devaney. Alderman Hussey.
On the same item, Mayor, also on that, I had commented with regard to proposed possible works at car park sites. I was specific to car parks in the Catterick area. The director of E&R was to request the appropriate director, in this case Business and Culture, to possibly bring an update on that. Will that be brought to E&R or will that be brought to Business and Culture? And just while we're on car parks, now with the transfer of car parks to council, the lights that exist within car parks have now been taken off the street lighting report system via NI Direct. Does council intend to have some similar system whereby the public can report street lights that are out in car parks, or is it just through councillors or direct phone call to council themselves? I've had a few incidents, and I'm sure other representatives in the chamber have had that as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to actually bring Stephen on to answer that one. Karen, you'll be relieved. Stephen.
Thank you, Mayor. In relation to the tender, etc., for the works for the car parks, we'll bring an update report to committee. That tender works is all ready to go out. In relation to the lighting, I would need to liaise with our colleagues to see how all faults in council are reported. I think there is a system, but we'll we'll ensure that that is communicated properly through, and we'll cover it in the same report, and we'll cover the disability issue as well in relation to free car parking.
There you are. I think Alderman's happy, or Halsey's happy with. Thank you very much for that, Stephen. Okay, members, I see no further matters arising on the ENR. Moving on to the monthly Health and Communities Committee held on Thursday, the 13th of January 2022. Pages 69 to 100 for accuracy. Could I have a proposer?
A report, Alderman Devaney.
And a seconder.
I'm happy to second.
I think I was Councillor Lena Barr on there.
Yes.
Matters arising, Alderman McClintock.
Thank you, Mayor. It's on HC 8/22 about dog fighting. I just wanted to take the opportunity, if you would allow me, to ask, we passed a motion in October of last year about investigating the possibility of doggy parks, and I particularly referenced Drumahoe District Park. It's just that I have been inundated with issues regarding Drumahoe Park, people telling me that they are afraid to go into the park because of dogs off the lead. But I just wondered if I could get an update as to where we are with that notice of motion and considering what other councils are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Alderman McClintock. Councillor Riley.
Yeah, Mayor, matters arising, HC 18/22 on page 97 on to 98, just to nominate Councillor Brian Tierney to attend the Housing Policy Conference, please.
Yeah, that's been noted. Thank you for that, Councillor Riley. Councillor Hargan.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I have a number of matters arising for this section, so if you can just bear with me. The first one is HC 10/22, the reopening of council facilities. And obviously, council is very eager to get our leisure facilities open, and we're eager to get people back in using the services again, generating revenue, workers going back to what they are skilled at doing. I've had a lot of Brook Park Leisure Centre members in touch with me recently, scores of them, to be quite honest, frustrated about change in services there. And I believe quite a few of them have been writing to council looking for an explanation as to why there's been a change in some of the services that have been offered. They've been showing me kind of turning up for classes cancelled, small numbers at the classes where they used to be packed. They're frustrated about what appears to be the removal of a popular instructor. There is I know that the union is representing that worker, so I'm not expecting a discussion about that tonight. They're frustrated that some of them have said that they were described as cronies. I believe that some people are unfortunately withdrawn their membership from the council leisure services, which I feel, given our push to kind of get revenue generated again, is not very good at all. I've been in touch with officers about this, but since I was in touch with them, I've had more Brook Park members, Brook Park service users in touch. So I think we need to get addressing this, and I think we have to be doing our best to keep our members, many of whom have been there for a long time. Now's not the time to be driving people away to private gyms when the council's putting so much effort to getting people back around. So if I can, I want to get that registered tonight, and it'd be good to get council officers looking at this and aware of the seriousness of the issue. Thank you, Mayor. Should I continue on with the other issues I had, or do you want me to stop there? Okay. This is in regard to HC 15/22, the gating order that was passed. Since the gating order was passed, I've been contacted by quite a few people in the Glen area who don't agree with a gate going up on the Glen Road. They weren't consulted about this. and they're very, very frustrated about it. So there's been a message conveyed through Councillor Donnelly to all councillors, and that's just one of the letters that I've received and one of the phone calls I've received. So I think people are very frustrated that there was no real consultation done on this. I think there was a couple of people consulted, and there seems to be a lot of people saying that this is a very important access route in terms of shops and using Craigengburn Park, going to school, getting on buses, etc., etc. So there isn't an issue with the other gating orders for Academy Road. It's the one on the Glen Road that people are objecting to. So I don't really think we can move forward with this as a council. I think that we have to do a real consultation and make sure people's voices are heard on it. So that's what I wanted to bring there. So my proposal would be that we not move forward with that part of the motion. So Mayor, I got another issue, but I want to stop there in case anybody else wants to come in on either of those issues.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Hargett. So you're proposing amendment for that, it's C15, is it? Yeah, to remove that one. Councillor Hargett, have you got a seconder on that?
I'll second it, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. On Councillor Carr, is this on the same issue? Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, Chair. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, it's the same issue. Yeah. I've been contacted by a number of these residents around the Glen Road as well, just to support Councillor Harkin. But I feel that this has already been out in social media that this was happening, and I believe that we as a council now need to be writing to the residents, outlining the process, that they will be consulted. Obviously, there's a right of way here as well, and that we need to keep the residents in that area informed of what's happening. So I believe that we know, because it's out over social media, that this is a done deal. I don't believe it's a done deal. It's a part of a process. So I'm happy to support Councillor Harkin's motion. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Councillor Harkin, could you put that up in the chat box? Councillor Heaney, you're looking to talk on the same issue.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I, like all our members, would have seen the letter circulated by Councillor Donnelly this morning. And just for clarity, the suggested gate going at the alleyway that people are concerned about is not what has been proposed in the gating order. Whereas proposed to be gated is a back lane for access to funds, and all the residents affected by that were more than happy and supported the proposal. So I think there's a misunderstanding here on behalf of some of the residents around this, which has obviously led to concerns by councillors. But if they had looked at the plans, and the plans are openly available in the Glen Development Initiative for people to see exactly what is being proposed here, then they would see the need for what has been proposed by Councillor Harkin is totally unnecessary and shouldn't be supported. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for that, Councillor Heaney. I'm going to just, with the CS proposal here on the chat box, we'll bring it up, and just be a second. Councillor Needham will just take out the vote there. Councillor Hargan, are you putting that up in the chat box yet?
I am, Mayor. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll just wait there first. Teresa's just bringing it up on screen. Thank you. So, members, there's a proposal from this here. Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor, for letting us. Mayor, just and I seen the email as well, and I think that as one, I think that it's right and proper that we have this proposal. I think that perception is everything. The lack of consultation is everything. If there is a perception of a lack of consultation, so I don't think this proposal here will do anything but give residents some comfort. The last thing we want to be, as a council, seem to be doing is imposing a gated community on a community, because if this gate is not welcome, it won't survive, and we don't want a community coming in resistance against the council on this matter. So I think consultation, clarification is everything. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred. Councillor Gallagher. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me in. And we're talking about clarification and consultation. Is any of the officers aware of what consultation went on with the residents and around there for the gating order? I would like a wee update on that there, if officers could give it to me to make up my decision on the proposal.
Karen McFarland on.
Mayor, I'll give you a preliminary update on the consultation, it focused on the residents of the affected properties at 15, 19 and 21 Glen Road. There was a vacant house at that particular time, so there was no comment registered. The consultation was undertaken for us by the Glen Development Initiative, and they have confirmed to us that they're available to speak with anyone regarding any issues or concerns in relation to the proposal. And I think, as has been indicated by one of the elected members, the proposal is on display at a local community building. So members, that's the update I can provide for you at this point in time.
Thank you, Fred. Karen. Councillor Cusack.
Sorry, Mayor, had a bit of a problem there. Mayor, it's very plain for everybody to see where exactly these gates are to be. It's the maps there. The issue was about bins from behind somebody's property. It's not that alleyway which runs between, I think, 15 and 16, is it? That's not the area that's getting gated off. So if the members look at the plans, which are there to be seen in the HNC papers, then they'll see it's completely different from the alleyway which runs through onto the Glen Road. I'm very, very familiar with the area. It is an area of antisocial behaviour and has been, and I've worked on it for almost 10 years now. But the alleyway itself is not the one that's being cut off. It's the house beside where the bins are kept behind. So, I mean, if Councillor Harkin wants to go in and look at the paperwork that was put out on that, and if residents want to go, it's very obvious that this has been progressed by GDI. They have said they're open and welcome to people discussing it, seeing the plans, answering questions. Yes, maybe a greater consultation should have been done, but given where the gates are going to be, are proposed to be put, I don't think anybody's really going to have any objection to that. I think it's a bit of misinformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cusack. Councillor Eniac, I'm going to bring you back and just see if you can clarify any more.
Okay, well, Councillor Cusack has sort of repeated what I said. There's an element of a misunderstanding here in terms of where the gates are proposed to go, and I think that wasn't helped by an unhelpful photograph that went up on social media, which sort of exacerbated the problem. However, I was going to ask the council officer, Karen, to just confirm that that is the case, so that members can be fully aware of what they're voting against in the proposal, because the letter that was circulated to members earlier is not what's being proposed here in terms of this particular gate. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll just bring Karen in a minute. Councillor Donnelly.
Thanks, Chair. And Chair, I have been approached by residents of the area too. There seems to be a lot of confusion here. You know, and I think it wasn't helped by social media. I think there does need to be more consultation with the residents. And I think that if it was explained to them, as Councillor Carr said, what the plans are, you know, it could go some way to rectifying the situation. But just going through some of the minutes from the health and community meetings initially, you know, and it does say about people who gather at the burn and then they use the alleyway as a skip, you know, or as an escape route, and then they gather in the Glenside area. You know, that in itself would cause confusion too, because now we're being told that it's a back lane, but in the map, whilst you can see it, it is to the left. In the map, you don't see a route going right through into Glenside. So I think Councillor Carr's proposal too, that we write to the residents in the area that, you know, and we explain the process would help.
Thank you for that, Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Ferguson?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, it does seem like there seems to be some confusion on the understanding around which alleyway this is. I'm just, before we were going to vote on this, I wanted to check with Karen on the timescale of the gate maybe being erected. So say, for example, if we go through with this and understanding that it is a misunderstanding, could possibly council or even the Glen Development get, like Councillor Donnelly has just said, a letter out to clarify so that they're aware that it's not necessarily the three-way that they're indicating in their letter, and it is just a back lane for bins. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ferguson. Members, I'm going to take us to a vote now. I'm going to pass it on to John. John?
We're going to get clarification for Karen first. Mayor, sorry.
Apologies, Councillor Heaney. Exactly what you want clarified, the reference to the picture?
The location of the gate and that's proposed, as I say, we're voting to hold it, but it's on a misunderstanding. It's going somewhere where it's not. So it was to get that clarified from council officer.
Right. Karen?
Mayor, it's just to confirm that it is the area adjacent to 15, 19, 21 and 17 Glen Road. So it's an adjacent to those houses. And also supposed to clarify for members that the next phase of taking forward the delivery of the gating order does allow for formal consultation. So the proposal would be to advertise that proposal, and then there is an open process when the public notice is issued in both local papers and the Gazette for anyone who wishes to make objections or representation to formally do that.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, John.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Breslin?
Against the motion.
Alderman Devaney?
Against.
Alderman Guy? Alderman Guy?
Against.
Alderman Hussey?
Against.
Alderman Carrigan? Alderman Carrigan? Alderman McClintock?
Against, John.
Alderman McCready?
Against.
Alderman Ramsey?
Against.
Alderman Wark?
Against.
Councillor Jason Barr?
Against.
Councillor Raymond Barr?
For the motion, John.
Councillor John Boyle?
Against.
Councillor Michaela Boyle?
Against.
Councillor Carr?
For.
Councillor Cusack?
Against.
Councillor Dobbins?
Against.
Councillor Donnelly?
Or.
Councillor Doyle? Councillor Doyle? Councillor Duffy?
Against.
Councillor Edwards. Councillor Farrell.
Against.
Councillor Ferguson.
Against.
Councillor Fleming.
Against, John.
Councillor Gallagher.
For.
Councillor Harkin.
For.
Councillor Heaney.
Against.
Councillor Jackson.
Against.
Councillor Kelly.
Against.
Councillor Logue.
Against.
Councillor McGinley.
Against, John.
Councillor McGowan.
Against.
Councillor McGuire.
Against.
Councillor McHugh.
Against.
Councillor McKinney.
Against.
Councillor Mooney.
Against.
Councillor O'Neill.
For.
Councillor Riley.
Against.
Councillor Sino Barr.
Against.
Thank you, members. Now I've recorded 30 against and 6 for, so the proposal falls.
Thank you for that, John. The proposal falls. So members, moving on back up the chat box of Alderman Derek Hussey on HC 16/22.
Chair, I have 08 before that on dogfiling, if you want me to take it in consequential order. Just on the dogfiling one, I'm not sure if all members are aware of a disgraceful situation in Strabane, where a rugby team, young boys, landed to play a game, but before the game could take place, the parents had to gather up dog file from the pitch. I believe council were contacted about this particular incident, and I think it's an absolute disgrace that would happen. I'm sure members would agree. But what I did want to mention then was a similar situation, only on the public road. It's the hospital road in Castlederg leading to the back gate of Edwards School, where I've had complaints of parents taking their children to school having to avoid dogfile along that particular route. I would ask that is highlighted to the relevant officers, and indeed, you know, it seems to be something that has grown again. So our responsible folk would need to up the ante on this disgraceful. Sorry, there's somebody chatting there.
Members, could you be reminded that you turn off your mics and videos when you're not speaking? Thank you. Go ahead, Alderman Hussey.
Sorry, you know, if officers could take on board that this item, this issue it seems to be growing again. I know in the Castlederg area it's an ongoing problem. The issue in Strabane is absolutely disgraceful that it would happen on a sports pitch, but it needs to be addressed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Fred. Alderman Hussey, Alderman Devaney on this issue, yeah?
Yep, thank you, Mayor. Same issue and around dogfowl, and I agree wholeheartedly with Alderman Hussey's comments and around dogfowl on playing pitches. Totally unacceptable. And look, I know there's an issue that's been raised many times before, and look, it seems to be getting out of hand at the moment, because I was on Saturday. I took a walk down around the canal, wonderful area in Ballymagorry, and I have to say, the most common complaint from speaking to the public who were walking that day, Saturday was a lovely evening, and there were quite a number of people, was about dogfowl. And I did check, Mayor, you know, to find out the dogfowl bins, they were there. And look, I checked them to see were they full. They weren't. So there is no excuse. You know, if people could complain that the bins were full, but they weren't, and I checked them. But it's just, I think, an issue that needs to be. Look, we need to keep at it and try and get our officers out there and investigate it. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Cusack, same issue, yeah?
Same issue, yes, thank
Yeah.
you, Mayor. Just again regarding this, and it's regarding the council policy, well, it's not policy, I believe now it's practice, having a conversation with officers about not putting dog fowl bins in residential areas. I have to say, I understand the theory, the thinking behind it. Obviously, there's a cost element, but I do think that it's something that shouldn't be, negated. It's something that has to be considered, because we have quite large developments. A lot of these developments have dog owners. They walk their dogs around these parks, and if an area can be identified as not, annoying any household, or any household objecting to it, a green area in a development or park, then that should be considered, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to walk around. Once they've been responsible enough to pick up the fowl, they're not going to walk around for an hour with their dog with it. They need to have somewhere to put it, and they're not going to, walk all the way home again. So, we have to be realistic as to what service we're providing dog owners, responsible dog owners. And I say, I do understand the officers' concerns. I do understand the cost element. But if the service isn't there, then we're just going to see these fowl bags hung on trees, bushes, left lying on the pavements, which is what I'm seeing in a lot of areas in my constituency. So just ask officers to be a bit more open to the idea of placing these bins in suitable locations within residential areas. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been noted, Councillor Cusack. Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Mayor. It's on the same issue, Mayor, and again, we've had minutes of discussion on this, but how over the pandemic, we did make good use of staff who were furloughed coming in and acting up as wardens, and we did see some success on that, and a reduction of dog fouling. However, since that removal, Strabane Town, and the search kits, and the roads that people try and walk on for health, that people cycle on, jog on, people push prams, is lacquered with dog dirt. And I'm not talking about 100 yards of it. I'm talking about wherever you walk, kilometres and kilometres, it is covered. We received correspondence last week through the council email from some residents who are just plagued with. And this council, who has tried a lot of stuff, they've tried trying to impose fines, hasn't worked. Signs, educational stuff. Some places got temporary CCTV. None of it has worked. None of it. And if we are serious about addressing this, we need to get to the root cause of why it is happening. And we need to add deterrence. And people talk about costs. If we don't address this, it's going to cost us and cost us and cost us and continually cost us. This council needs to step up and address the issue of dog fouling. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Before you bring in Councillor Barr, apologies there, Michaela. Go ahead, Michaela. Councillor Boyle.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just on the same issue, I, like others too, was emailed just in relation to the incident down at the Meadows football pitch, where there was a visiting team from Belfast who came to play, and unfortunately the members travelling with the team and family had to clean up the dog dirt in that particular area. 10 bags was lifted on that morning. I, like other elected representatives, contacted council in regards to that, and I'm aware since that the dog warden had been down and is investigating it and will erect CCTV signage cameras and carry out patrols in the area, so that's to be welcomed. I think it's fair to say too that, our council is one of the most proactive councils in trying to address this, but as Councillor Gallagher and Alderman Hussey has said, it's fallen on deaf ears. I do believe that there's a lot more can be done, and I did write to council yesterday just in terms of maybe doing a video or something, putting something up there on the website, but I'm aware there is a short video on the council website to help raise awareness on this issue and to promote responsible dog ownership. but I think it has to go further than that. I mean, I'm hearing complaints from the public, you know, that like others have said, visiting families from England who have come here and, you know, saw the dog dirt and is aware of it in the streets. And, you know, it just doesn't paint a great picture for our city and the district when this is a major issue. I'm hearing complaints, and I'm hearing from other people. One man who was stopped because he was allowing his dog to foul actually said, I pay a license, I pay my dog license. Is that not what the guy with the bin, the cleansing team, is doing? Is he not responsible for cleaning up dog foul? No, he's not. But this is the attitude. One other person said, should the rain will wash it away. That's what you're dealing with. But, you know, as I said, council are very proactive in terms of, you know, surveying all of the land and which the orders apply to and carrying out investigations and dealing with it. But more has to be done. And we need to work together and collectively on this. And there needs, it's the vast majority of people across our city and district are responsible dog owners, but there's still an education that needs to go out and telling people that it's not right to allow their dogs to wander through the streets and foul wherever they feel fit to do so without cleaning it up. So we need to send a clear message out to people. Should we have to do a video? You know, I would even go as far as saying that the Public Health Agency need to be involved here also and sending out a clear message. You know, we've had the seatbelt video.
Thank you. Councillor Moore, can you bring your remarks to a close, please?
So just to say, we're doing a lot, but we still need to do more. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I think there'll be a number of videos put out now in the next coming weeks on that. Councillor Barr.
Thank you, Mayor. On the same issue, you know, we've talked about dog fouling for the last couple of years, but we've talked it to death, you know, but we really do have to adopt a zero tolerance policy. It's a bad reflection on the town, and it's a poor advertisement for council that somebody from outside the town had to highlight this week again. As well as that email that councillors got with another email from a local resident a couple of weeks ago, again, highlighting the fact it doesn't matter where you go. Well, I can talk to the Strabane area. You're walking through dog poo everywhere. You know, so we're now coming into the spring and summer period, and people have been encouraged during the COVID period to go out and exercise, out and walk. But you know, the fact that they have to sidestep dog excrement every couple of yards, we really must do something about it. We really have to adopt a zero tolerance policy. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Barr. Councillor Evers.
Mayor, thanks for letting me in on this. And I do agree with previous speakers and Councillor Barr there. And like others, I've had lots of complaints about dog fouling across the Derg and been out walking the streets as well, Mayor. I can see the footpaths absolutely littered in dog foul. I've had reports recently of dog foul in children's play parks, which is really dangerous. And Mayor, I've even had dog fouling right outside my own front doorstep of my own house. That's how bad it is, which really annoyed me. I had complaints from wheelchair users in CMOs about the streets in CMOs, and mothers pushing buggies as well. And you're sure that it is quite a big issue. And for me, I don't think the message is getting out there properly. There, as mentioned by previous speakers, there's good initiatives in the past. That the furlough scheme worked quite well. I know that the former Mayor Tierney had a great initiative last year as Mayor as well, but I do think now it's as bad as ever. There are a lot of responsible dog owners, but there's those who simply don't care. And I remember last year, Mayor, it's the last point I'll make, Ards and North down of 35 times the number of fines that we do in Derry and Strabane Council. And when you look at councils and giving out fines and their success in tackling this issue, it does vary. So I do think that there's an opportunity there within all of the local councils to try and come together and share learnings and experiences on how to best tackle this issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Evers, on that. I'm going to bring Karen here, our officer. Karen Fulch, you on there? It's more or less to you from Alderman Conte, there was a query there about the doggy park motion. Where are we standing with that?
Yeah, Chair, I will ensure the officers bring a report back to E&R specifically on the dog parks, and certainly happy to do that. I'm not sure yet where we are with that. I know that the team have been looking at examples of good practice elsewhere, but I'll ensure we bring a report back to E&R and to update members on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Card. And Alderman Guy and Councillor Ferguson, they have been noted on the chat box. And back to Alderman Hussey. Is this the final one, Derek?
Thanks, Mayor. It is. And it's the motion that came from the Health and Communities Committee under HC 16. The minutes are accurate, but I wish to propose that Council reject the proposal from the Health and Community Committee to withhold £600 payable to Castledare Young Loyalist Foot Band. Make that a proposal.
Could you put someone on the chat box there? 2 minutes. Could I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Chair, point of order.
3 seconds.
Excellent.
Go ahead there, Councillor Gallagher, in the point of order.
Just checking. Did this not come before full council?
2 seconds, Councillor Gallagher.
Previously?
Members, I'm going to bring in Philip here.
Sorry, I'm coming in just on behalf of Philip. He's got some technical difficulties there. I think Philip was about to say yes, it did come before full council. Full council were minded that an amount would be withheld, and that was put back to the committee to consider the quantum, as I understand it.
Okay, members, so we'll just bring it up.
Sorry, Mayor, just back on what the Chief Executive says, that this proposal here is calling for the rejection of the proposal, but the proposal has already been passed by full council. The actual proposal was passed at full council, therefore it shouldn't come before council again for another 6 months.
No, Chair, yeah. Mayor, through you, just the proposal that was what was referred back to Health and Communities was to determine the amount of funding that should be withheld from Castledare Young Loyalists Flute Band. That has now been determined by the Health and Communities Committee, and the recommendation from Health and Communities Committee is to withhold funding of £600. That still requires ratification by this council because it is only a recommendation from the committee that requires ratification. Yeah, on that basis, members, the proposal is legitimate, and just move to vote on it. I thought.
They are. I'm going to. Members, I'm going to. Councillor Evers.
Thanks. Mayor, but as I respect Alderman Hussey and what he's trying to do here, this has been discussed for many months. I think that the £600 is a fair payment. So the SLP won't be supporting the proposal. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Evers. Members, I think we have talked quite a bit on this. I'm going to take it on. I'll take one more now, and that's that. Alderman Corrigan, final
Thank you.
speaker on it.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to be brief. I support Alderman Hussey's proposal, and we have tried this. And again, I know it was passed at there was a recommendation from the committee which we weren't in favour of. Mayor, I'm just will request again a recorded vote on this recorded vote, because I just feel that it's with council still going against the legal advice which was brought forward. You know, I just think that it have a set by withholding money when we aren't legally obliged to. You know, so I just want it recorded because I do feel that we have a very strong case or a very strong chance here that we will have legal action taken against council this decision. But
they're all
no,
going to
just
be recorded anyway, so they are.
I will just an official recorded vote on the chair is what I've been advised.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Members, as I said, I'm just taking the vote. I'm going to pass on to John. So I'm on this one. I've a call, John.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Alderman Breslin.
For.
Alderman Devaney.
For.
Alderman Guy.
For.
Alderman Hussey.
For.
Alderman Carrigan.
For.
Alderman McClintock.
For.
Alderman McCready.
For.
Alderman Ramsey.
For.
Alderman Wark.
For.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Against.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Against.
Councillor John Boyle.
Against.
Councillor Michaela Boyle.
Against.
Councillor Carr.
Against.
Councillor Cusick.
Against.
Councillor Dobbins. Councillor Dobbins.
Against,
Councillor
John,
Donnelly.
sorry.
Sorry, thank you, Councillor Dobbins. Councillor Donnelly.
Abstain.
Councillor Doyle.
Against.
Councillor Duffy.
Against.
Councillor Edwards.
Against.
Councillor Farrell.
Against.
Councillor Ferguson.
For.
Councillor Fleming.
Against, John.
Councillor Gallagher.
In.
Councillor Harkin.
Against.
Councillor Heaney.
Against.
Councillor Jackson.
Against.
Councillor Kelly.
Against.
Councillor Logue.
Against.
Councillor McGinley.
Against, John.
Councillor McGowan.
Against.
Councillor McGuire.
Against.
Councillor McHugh.
Against.
Councillor McKinney.
For.
Councillor Mooney.
Against.
Councillor O'Neill.
Against.
Councillor Riley.
Against.
Councillor Sinai Barr.
Against.
Thank you, members. Mayor recorded 25 against, 11 for, and 2 abstentions. So the proposal falls.
Thank you, John. Proposal falls. Councillor Doyle, moving on.
Thanks, Mayor, and apologies for coming on late with that request there. I was on the phone. Just in relation to HC 5, the presentation by Sharon McCullough on Rosemount Resource Centre. It's just on Matters Horizon on page 76 is the first paragraph. I'll just read it here. Councillor Tierney understood that whilst the management committee had been invited to a meeting, they had requested a copy of the agenda in respect thereof. This, however, had not been forthcoming. Now, I checked both with Karen McFarland and with Siobhan in John's office yesterday about this, and actually had been told that there was a number of emails went forward and back, but effectively what Councillor Tierney had said at the meeting is not the case, and that the last reply from the management committee at Rosemount was on the 20th of September, letting Siobhan know that they would be back in touch, and they didn't get back in touch. So I just want to make that very clear, because this issue is going to keep going, and I do hope that the motion that was passed, the management team coming in to speak to us, goes forward, because it'd be very good to get both sides of the story. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Fred. Councillor Fuller. Okay, members, that finishes us off with Health and Communities. Members, moving on to the Monthly Assurance Audit and Risk Committee held on Monday, 17th of January 2022, pages 101 to pages 110 for accuracy. Could I have a proposer?
Propose it, Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Councillor McKenna, and a seconder.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Turney. Okay, members, matters arising.
That was Councillor McGowan.
Thank you, Councillor McGowan. You sound very like Councillor Turney there. Okay, Councillor Hargan.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. In relation to AAR 722, well, look, I think it's worrying that business organisations or others that council went to with a potential project for them felt that there was political sensitivities that made them worried about taking on the work. I think that, and this has appeared now in what you would call national newspapers, that is not good. It's not. What does that actually mean? Why would organisations be afraid to take on audit work for the council? So that's disappointing, and there's people have a lot of distrust with government, and to see this kind of murkiness around businesses and their unwillingness to take on council work is worrying. The second point is, look, this has been referred to again as tittle tattle and kind of by Sinn Féin in terms of some of these concerns that were raised by council and voted and supported by this council in terms of looking at some of the communities funded projects and council funded projects with concerns that people had about how governance worked and so on, and about workers' rights issues and inequalities in terms of pay. None of this for the people who are concerned about it is tittle tattle. And so it's disappointing that it seems like we're not going to be able to make any progress on it. It doesn't seem to be the case that any of the proposals that were put forward to narrow down the scale of the audit have been taken on board, or they don't seem to have made any difference. So look, this was about protecting communities, protecting funding that goes to community organisations, and I don't think this is a funny matter. So I think that it's just disappointing that this is where we are, and that this is going to be what gets concluded out of those discussions.
Thank you for that, Councillor Hargan. Members, I'm aware about time here. So at 6 o'clock, we're going to come back public. So we are. So what I'm going to do now is move on to confidential and see how we get on with that. Okay. Are you happy enough?